Freedom is a concept that is deeply ingrained in our cultural consciousness. It's a word we all yearn for, something we believe will bring us true happiness and fulfillment. But as we chase after it, we begin to wonder if it is even attainable. After all, we live in a world that prides itself on the value of freedom. Political freedom, economic freedom, personal freedom, these are all ideals that many of us strive to achieve. We are told that freedom is the ultimate goal, the thing that will set us free from all the chains that bind us. But the reality is far more complex than the simplistic idea of freedom we are often fed. The truth is, you will never be truly free, and here's why. First, we have to recognize that freedom is not a singular, absolute state. It's not something you achieve once and for all. It's an ongoing process, a balancing act, and it comes with its own set of limitations. The reality is that we are all bound by something, whether it's societal expectations, economic constraints, personal fears, or emotional baggage. Even in the most liberated and developed societies, where people are told they have the power to do anything they want, freedom remains a slippery concept. What we fail to realize is that freedom, by its very nature, comes with responsibility, consequence, and limitation. One of the most profound ways in which we are never truly free is in the way we are conditioned by society. From the moment we are born, we are taught how to think, act, and behave. Our family, culture, education system, and the media all play a part in shaping who we are and how we see the world. We are raised with a set of beliefs, values, and expectations that are not entirely of our own making. Whether we recognize it or not, we are socialized into a particular way of life, and that life is often one that is predetermined by the influences around us. We are told what is right, what is wrong, and what we should desire. Our goals and ambitions are often shaped by the expectations of others rather than our own authentic desires. This conditioning starts at an early age and continues throughout our lives. In school, we are taught to follow rules, memorize information, and strive for external validation. We are rewarded for doing what we are told and punished for stepping outside the lines. As we grow older, we are still influenced by the structures around us, the media, the government, and the workforce, telling us what we should want, what we should buy, and how we should behave. Even the notion of freedom is presented to us in a way that aligns with the interests of those in power. We are told that freedom is about the ability to make choices within a given framework, but that framework is often constructed by external forces. The choices we think we're making freely are often limited by the options presented to us. This conditioning is pervasive and insidious. It becomes so ingrained in our psyche that we often don't even realize we are being controlled. We think we are free because we can choose between a variety of options, but in reality, the choices are often made for us by powerful institutions and forces. The idea of freedom that we hold on to is a carefully curated illusion, one that convinces us we have control, but only within the boundaries that have already been set. Even our desires and dreams are often shaped by external influences, advertisements, social media, and the constant pressure to conform to societal norms. The truth is, we are not as free as we think we are because our every decision is influenced by a web of external forces we have little control over. Even when we attempt to break free from these constraints, we are met with the reality that freedom comes at a cost. The idea that we can simply escape from societal pressures or economic constraints is an illusion. The more we try to free ourselves from these influences, the more we realize that we are bound by our own limitations, whether it's our financial situation, our career, or our relationships. To be truly free, we would need to break away from the systems that govern our lives, and in doing so, we would face the harsh reality that total freedom is not something we can achieve without consequence. The cost of freedom might be more than we are willing to pay. Another reason why we will never truly be free is because of the constraints of our own minds. Our thoughts, beliefs, and fears shape how we experience the world and how we navigate through life. Even when we are physically free to act as we wish, we are still bound by our internal world. The mind can be a prison, one that traps us in patterns of thought and behavior that limit our potential. How many times have we wanted to do something but hesitated because we were afraid of failure, judgment, or the unknown? The fear of not being good enough, the fear of rejection, the fear of making the wrong choice, all of these internal fears hold us back from embracing true freedom. Our minds are constantly filled with doubts, insecurities, and worries. We are often our own worst enemies, sabotaging our own happiness and success. Even when we have the external freedom to pursue our dreams, we are often too paralyzed by our internal fears to take action. We question our worth, our abilities, and our right to succeed. The truth is, no matter how much external freedom we might have, we will never be truly free until we learn to break free from the mental chains we have imposed upon ourselves. This inner freedom is one of the most difficult forms of liberation, and it requires deep self-awareness, introspection, and courage. At the same time, the fear of the unknown keeps us bound. While we crave freedom, we also fear what it would mean to be completely free. The unknown is a vast and uncertain space, and many people are too afraid to venture into it. We want freedom, but we want it within the confines of what we already know. We want to break free, but only if we know what lies on the other side. The truth is that the unknown is where true freedom lies, but it's also where chaos, unpredictability, and discomfort reside. To truly embrace freedom would mean letting go of our need for certainty and control. It would mean stepping into the unknown with all of its unpredictability and risk. Yet in many ways, the unknown is where life truly happens. It is where growth, change, and transformation occur. But the fear of stepping into the unknown keeps us stuck in patterns of behavior that feel safe, even though they are limiting. The truth is that we are not free because we cling to the comfort of the known, afraid to leave the safety of what we already understand. The paradox is that freedom only comes when we are willing to embrace the unknown, to step away from the comfortable and familiar, and to trust ourselves in the face of uncertainty. But the fear of the unknown is often so powerful that it keeps us trapped in a cycle of false security, never daring to truly live. Even when we confront our fears and try to break free from the constraints of our minds, our lives, and society, we are still bound by the realities of human nature. As humans, we are constantly driven by desires, needs, and emotions that influence our choices. We are wired to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and seek safety. This biological wiring, while essential for survival, also limits our freedom. We cannot escape our basic instincts and desires. They are hardwired into our brains. We might yearn for freedom, but we are still driven by the need for validation, love, success, and security. These desires keep us tethered to the very things we are trying to escape. The pursuit of freedom itself can become a form of imprisonment. Many people become so obsessed with the idea of freedom that they forget to live in the moment. They chase after financial independence, career success, or personal achievement, thinking that these external markers of freedom will bring them the peace and happiness they seek. But in reality, the more they chase these goals, the more they become entangled in the pursuit itself. The pursuit of freedom becomes a never-ending cycle, one that keeps us trapped in the illusion that true freedom is just around the corner. But once we reach one goal, we set another, always seeking, always striving, never truly satisfied. The more we strive for external freedom, the more we lose sight of the inner peace that comes with accepting our limitations and embracing the present moment. One of the harshest truths about freedom is that it's not a static state, but a dynamic process. Freedom is not something you achieve once and for all. It is something that requires constant attention, self-awareness, and self-discipline. True freedom comes not from external circumstances, but from within. It is about learning to live authentically, to let go of the need for approval, to stop seeking validation from others, and to trust ourselves enough to follow our own path. But even this inner freedom comes with limitations. We are not free from responsibility, from the consequences of our actions, or from the inevitable challenges that life presents. Freedom, in its truest sense, is not about escaping these challenges, but about embracing them with courage, clarity, and resilience. We also must come to terms with the fact that freedom is not always a positive force. While freedom allows for choice, it also brings with it a burden. The freedom to make our own choices means that we must bear the consequences of those choices. We are not free from the weight of our decisions. The more freedom we have, the more responsibility we carry. This can be overwhelming. The idea of total freedom can seem liberating, but it also places us in a position where we must constantly make decisions, each one carrying its own set of consequences. In some ways, the more free we become, the more choices we are given, and the more responsibility we must take for those choices. This is the paradox of freedom. The more we strive for it, the more we realize that we are never truly free. We are always bound by something, by society, by our own minds, by our instincts, and by the very nature of being human. Freedom, in its truest sense, is not the absence of constraints, but the ability to navigate them with awareness, courage, and grace. It's not about escaping our limitations, but accepting them and finding peace within them. The truth is that no matter how hard we try, we will never be entirely free. But that doesn't mean we can't live a fulfilling life. It just means we need to redefine what freedom really means and stop chasing the illusion that it's something we can ever completely achieve. As we continue to unpack the concept of freedom, it's important to explore how the systems we live within restrict us. These systems, whether economic, political, or social, are all designed in ways that constrain our personal freedom. While we may have the freedom to make choices within these systems, the truth is that these systems themselves shape the choices we make. Consider the economic system in which we operate. From a young age, we are conditioned to see money as a measure of success and freedom. The belief that financial independence equals freedom is deeply ingrained in most of us. But the reality is that the more we pursue wealth, the more we become entangled in the very systems that limit our freedom. The pursuit of money often requires long hours, sacrificing personal time, health, and relationships. In many cases, the more money we make, the more we are bound to the expectations of others. The pressure to maintain a certain lifestyle, to live up to the standard of success that society sets for us, becomes a heavy burden. In the pursuit of financial freedom, we often become enslaved to the systems that create economic inequality and consumerism. We become dependent on the market to validate our success, and we are often left feeling hollow and empty, as the very thing we sought for liberation now feels like a ball and chain. This paradox illustrates a profound truth. The more we try to break free from these systems, the more we find ourselves entangled in them. We might think that financial independence will grant us ultimate freedom, but in many cases it only increases our dependence on external validation and success metrics that do not reflect our inner needs. Another system that plays a major role in limiting our freedom is the political system. We live in societies where we are told that we are free to choose our leaders, our laws, and our way of life. But the truth is that political freedom is often more of an illusion than a reality. Most political systems are built on a foundation of power, control, and hierarchy. Even in democracies, where we are given the freedom to vote, the choices available to us are limited by a small group of elites, political parties, and corporate interests that control the narrative and the policies. In reality, the average person has very little influence over the direction of their society, as the system is designed to maintain the status quo and concentrate power in the hands of a few. In many ways, political freedom comes with a deep sense of powerlessness. We may have the right to vote, but the structures in place often do little to address the root causes of inequality, injustice, and oppression. The power of corporations and the influence of money in politics distort the democratic process and undermine our ability to create real change. While we are encouraged to believe that we are free to shape our own destiny through the political process, the reality is that we are often limited by the systems that perpetuate inequality, discrimination, and exploitation. The truth is, no matter how much we strive for political freedom, the systems in place ensure that true equality and liberty remain out of reach for many people. On a more personal level, our social systems, the roles and expectations that society places on us, also limit our freedom. From the moment we are born, we are taught how to behave, what to value, and what our role in society should be. Gender roles, family expectations, cultural norms, and societal pressures all play a part in shaping who we are and what we do. We are told what is appropriate for our gender, race, class, and background. These social expectations often determine how we see ourselves and the world around us. We are given labels and roles such as successful, worthy, good enough, or failure, and these labels influence how we act, think, and make decisions. In some cases, social expectations are so deeply ingrained that we don't even recognize them as constraints on our freedom. We may feel that we are making choices freely, when in fact those choices are heavily influenced by societal pressures. Women may feel compelled to act in ways that align with traditional gender roles, while men may feel pressured to succeed in ways that uphold masculine ideals. People of certain races or backgrounds may feel they are expected to conform to stereotypes or limitations imposed by society. This creates a narrow framework for how we live our lives, limiting our choices and possibilities. The desire to conform to social norms often keeps people from exploring their true potential, following their unique path, or expressing their authentic selves. This pressure to conform is not just an external force, it becomes internalized. People often experience guilt, shame, or anxiety when they deviate from the expectations that society has set for them. The fear of being judged, rejected, or ostracized can prevent individuals from making choices that truly reflect who they are. Instead, they follow the path that has been laid out for them, even if it doesn't bring them fulfillment or happiness. They suppress their authentic desires, dreams, and values in favor of fitting into a system that doesn't allow for individuality. This internalization of social expectations is another way that we are never truly free. In addition to these external forces, we are also bound by our own internal limitations, our beliefs, fears, and desires. These internal constraints are perhaps the most difficult to overcome because they are deeply embedded in our psyche. The way we view ourselves, the world, and our place in it shapes every decision we make. The problem is that most of us live under the influence of limiting beliefs that we have been conditioned to believe from an early age. We might believe that we are not worthy of success, that we are incapable of achieving our dreams, or that we are doomed to repeat the mistakes of our past. These beliefs hold us back from pursuing what we truly want, keeping us trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and insecurity. Our fears Fears also play a major role in keeping us from living freely. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. These fears can paralyze us, preventing us from taking risks, trying new things, or stepping out of our comfort zones. Fear is a natural part of the human experience, but when we allow it to dictate our choices, we limit ourselves. We avoid pursuing our dreams because we fear that we won't succeed, or we stay in unhealthy relationships because we fear being alone. Fear of the unknown prevents us from embracing change, even though it is the only constant in life. The more we fear, the less free we become. In many cases, these fears are rooted in past experiences or trauma. The wounds from our past can create emotional scars that influence how we react to the present. People who have been hurt or rejected in the past may be afraid to open up again, while those who have experienced failure may avoid taking risks in the future. These emotional scars create a protective barrier that keeps us from experiencing life fully. The truth is that we cannot be free until we confront our past and heal the wounds that continue to shape our present. The fear of confronting these painful emotions keeps many people stuck in patterns of avoidance, never fully engaging with their potential or living in the present moment. Another aspect of our internal constraints is our desire for comfort. Comfort is a powerful force that keeps us from seeking true freedom. We seek comfort because it provides a sense of safety and security. We find comfort in our routines, our jobs, our relationships, and our familiar surroundings. But comfort, while providing short-term relief, often prevents us from growing and evolving. To truly be free, we must be willing to step out of our comfort zones, to face the discomfort of the unknown, and to challenge ourselves to become more than we currently are. The desire for comfort holds us back from taking the risks that are necessary for personal growth. It keeps us in situations that are safe but unfulfilling, preventing us from experiencing the fullness of life. The truth about freedom is that it requires courage, the courage to confront our fears, to break free from societal expectations, and to challenge our own limitations. Freedom is not something that can be given to us by external forces. It is something that we must claim for ourselves. It requires us to face the uncomfortable truths about who we are, what we want, and what we are capable of. It requires us to take responsibility for our lives, our choices, and our actions. Freedom comes when we stop relying on others or on systems to define our path, and instead trust ourselves to create our own journey. But even as we take steps toward freedom, we must acknowledge that complete freedom is an illusion. We are always bound by something, whether it's societal expectations, our past, or our own desires. We are always influenced by the systems around us, by the culture we live in, and by our own internal beliefs and fears. The truth is that total freedom is impossible because there will always be constraints in our lives. However, that doesn't mean we are powerless. We still have the ability to choose how we respond to these constraints, to break free from the things that limit us, and to live in alignment with our authentic selves. True freedom comes when we stop waiting for external circumstances to change and instead take control of our own lives. The ultimate truth is that freedom is not about escaping constraints, it is about how we choose to live within them. We are never completely free, but we can find freedom in the choices we make, in the way we think, and in the way we navigate the complexities of life. Freedom comes from within, from the acceptance of our limitations and the courage to live authentically, despite them. It's about learning to embrace the present moment, to let go of the need for control, and to trust ourselves to create meaning in our lives. And while we may never be truly free in the way we imagine, we can find freedom in the way we choose to live. As we continue to explore the complexities of freedom, it's important to understand how deeply embedded our need for control is in our daily lives. Control is something that most people crave. It's how we feel secure, it's how we navigate the unknown, and it's how we make sense of the chaos that surrounds us. But the truth is, our desire for control can also be the very thing that keeps us from experiencing true freedom. The more we try to control our lives, the more we are bound by the very systems and routines we believe will bring us peace. Control is an illusion. We believe that if we can manage every aspect of our lives, from our careers to our relationships to our finances, we will be free from stress, uncertainty, and fear. However, the more we try to hold on to control, the more anxious and overwhelmed we become. We can't control the future, we can't control other people, and we can't control the unpredictable twists and turns that life inevitably brings. Yet, we live in a world that prioritizes control. We are taught from an early age that success is about mastering our environment, controlling the outcomes, and ensuring that everything goes according to plan. This is where the fear of losing control comes in. The fear of losing control is one of the most powerful forces that prevents us from embracing true freedom. We want to control our relationships, our circumstances, our emotions, and even the way others perceive us. This need for control can lead us to make choices that are not aligned with our true selves. Instead of letting life unfold naturally, we try to manipulate the outcome, creating a life that feels more like a series of calculations than an experience. The more we hold on to the need to control, the more we lose touch with the present moment. We miss out on the beauty of life as it is, always worrying about what's next or what we need to do to keep everything under control. The truth is, the more we try to control our lives, the less freedom we have. The act of controlling everything around us creates stress, anxiety, and resentment. We build walls around ourselves, hoping that by controlling our environment, we can protect ourselves from emotional pain, disappointment, and uncertainty. But this desire to control leads to emotional exhaustion and a loss of authenticity. We become slaves to our own need for control, and as a result, we lose the ability to live freely. True freedom comes when we let go of the illusion that we can control everything and instead embrace the unpredictability of life. This desire for control is also evident in how we handle relationships. How many times have we tried to control a partner's behavior, feelings, or actions in an attempt to make the relationship work? The need for control in relationships can manifest in subtle ways: manipulating conversations, trying to change the other person, or overscheduling every moment together. This desire to control the dynamics of the relationship often comes from a place of insecurity and fear. We fear that if we don't control the relationship, we'll lose the person or we'll be hurt. But the more we try to control a relationship, the more suffocating it becomes. Relationships that are based on control rather than trust and mutual respect will never experience true freedom. Letting go of control in relationships means embracing vulnerability. It means allowing your partner to be themselves, accepting their flaws, and trusting that the relationship will evolve naturally without being manipulated or forced. When we let go of the need to control, we open ourselves to deeper connection, to real intimacy, and to authentic love. But this is one of the hardest aspects of freedom to embrace. We are taught to hold on to control, to protect ourselves from the pain of disappointment, and to ensure that things go according to our plan. But true freedom in relationships comes when we relinquish control and allow space for growth, for change, and for each other to evolve. The pressure to control is also tied to the pursuit of perfection. The desire to be perfect, to do things perfectly, and to have the perfect life is a major obstacle to experiencing freedom. Perfectionism keeps us trapped in a cycle of dissatisfaction. No matter how much we achieve, no matter how much we do, it's never enough. We are constantly striving for an ideal that is unattainable. This constant striving for perfection prevents us from embracing the imperfections of life and the beauty that exists within them. Life is messy, it is unpredictable, and it is full of mistakes and lessons. But our obsession with perfection keeps us from appreciating the present moment, the lessons, and the growth that comes from imperfection. Perfectionism also makes us fearful of failure. The fear of failure is one of the most paralyzing forces that keeps us from taking risks, trying new things, and pursuing our dreams. We fear that if we fail, we will be judged, rejected, or not good enough. This fear of failure keeps us stuck in safe, predictable routines, never stepping out of our comfort zone. We tell ourselves that we will try something when we are ready, but in reality, we are waiting for the perfect moment, a moment that will never come. The truth is, failure is an inevitable part of life, and it is necessary for growth. If we want to live freely, we must embrace the possibility of failure and understand that it is through failure that we learn, grow, and move closer to the life we want. The idea that we must be perfect or that we must have everything figured out before taking action is one of the biggest obstacles to freedom. It holds us back from experiencing the fullness of life. It creates a mental prison where we are constantly measuring ourselves against an unattainable standard. We are afraid of making mistakes, of not living up to expectations, and of being judged. But the truth is, perfectionism keeps us trapped in our own minds. It prevents us from embracing life as it is, with all its messiness and beauty. Freedom comes when we let go of the need to be perfect, when we stop worrying about what others think, and when we give ourselves permission to be human. This need for control, perfection, and certainty extends beyond just relationships and personal expectations. It also affects our perception of the world and the way we navigate it. We are constantly bombarded by messages that tell us how to live, what to buy, what to believe, and who to be. The media, advertising, and even social media create a constant pressure to conform. We are shown idealized versions of what life should look like: the perfect career, the perfect body, the perfect family, and we feel inadequate when we don't measure up. This societal pressure forces us to chase after things that don't truly fulfill us, all in the name of success or approval. The truth is that true freedom is not about conforming to someone else's idea of what life should be. It's about defining success on our own terms and embracing the unique journey that is ours alone. Yet, we are taught to seek validation from the outside world. We seek approval from our peers, our parents, our bosses, and our social media followers. We measure our worth by external standards, by the likes on our posts, by the promotions at work, by the relationships we have. have. The more we seek validation from the outside, the less we feel free. The truth is that external validation is fleeting and often hollow. The more we depend on it, the more we lose sight of our own intrinsic worth. True freedom comes when we stop seeking validation from others and instead learn to validate ourselves. It's about accepting ourselves for who we are, flaws and all, and understanding that our worth is not dependent on anyone else's approval. This search for external validation can also lead to a deep sense of emptiness. When we are constantly seeking approval, we disconnect from our own desires and needs. We become so focused on pleasing others that we forget to ask ourselves what we truly want. This emptiness is often masked by the pursuit of success, status, and possessions. We fill our lives with things, accomplishments, and accolades, thinking they will bring us fulfillment. But in the end, none of these things can provide the lasting happiness and peace that we seek. The truth is that true freedom comes from within. It comes from understanding that we don't need to prove ourselves to anyone. We are already enough as we are. In a society that constantly tells us we must achieve, accumulate, and conform, it's easy to lose sight of what true freedom looks like. We get caught in the rat race, chasing after things that society has told us we should want, never stopping to ask ourselves if these things truly serve our well-being. But when we step back and look at the bigger picture, we realize that we are not free at all. We are bound by expectations, by societal norms, by the fear of failure, and by the desire for approval. The truth is that true freedom is not about achieving everything we think we need or want. It's about accepting who we are, embracing the present moment, and learning to live authentically without the need for external validation or control. As we delve even deeper into the idea of freedom, it's essential to consider the concept of emotional freedom. Emotional freedom is something that most people yearn for, but few truly achieve. While we might believe that freedom lies in escaping external circumstances, the truth is that emotional freedom is far more important. The reality is that we are often prisoners of our own emotions, unable to break free from past wounds, unresolved feelings, or the emotions we carry from childhood. These emotional chains hold us hostage in patterns of behavior and thought that limit our ability to live fully and freely. How often do we find ourselves caught in cycles of anger, regret, fear, or sadness? These emotions aren't just fleeting, they often define how we view the world and the choices we make. We might make decisions based on the fear of rejection or the desire for validation, constantly acting out of insecurity and self-doubt. We may replay old hurts in our minds over and over again, holding on to grudges or past traumas. These emotional chains are like invisible shackles that bind us, preventing us from living freely. The truth is that until we address these emotions and work through them, we will remain trapped in the past, unable to fully experience the freedom of the present moment. Emotional freedom requires an understanding of our feelings and the courage to face them head-on. Most people avoid confronting their emotions because they are painful, overwhelming, or too complex. Instead of acknowledging these feelings, we bury them deep inside, pretending that they don't exist. We suppress our anger, fear, and sadness, hoping they will go away on their own. But the more we suppress these emotions, the more power they have over us. They manifest in subtle ways, through anxiety, irritability, or feelings of emptiness, yet we rarely acknowledge the root cause of these feelings. To experience true emotional freedom, we must learn to sit with our emotions, not run from them. This means allowing ourselves to feel the pain, the joy, the frustration, and the fear without judgment. It means giving ourselves permission to be vulnerable, to express our emotions openly, and to let go of the need to control them. But this is a difficult task. We live in a world that encourages us to suppress our emotions, to appear strong, unaffected, and in control. Vulnerability is often seen as weakness, and the result is that people become emotionally numb, disconnected from their true selves. True emotional freedom comes when we stop being afraid of our feelings and start embracing them as part of who we are. When we do this, we break free from the emotional prisons we've built and begin to live authentically, without the chains of our past emotions holding us back. Another aspect of emotional freedom is letting go of the need for approval and validation from others. Many people live in a constant state of seeking approval, whether from family, friends, partners, or society. We want to be loved, admired, and accepted. This craving for validation can create a cycle of emotional dependency, where we look to others to define our worth. But the reality is that this external validation will never provide the emotional freedom we seek. The more we rely on others to tell us we are worthy, the less we believe in our own intrinsic value. When we seek approval from others, we lose sight of who we truly are. We shape ourselves based on what we think others want us to be. We change our behavior, our appearance, and our beliefs to fit into societal molds, hoping that by doing so, we will be accepted. But the more we seek approval, the more we lose ourselves. We become disconnected from our true desires, values, and authentic selves. We start living for others, not for ourselves. The truth is that emotional freedom comes from within. It comes from accepting ourselves as we are, without the need for external validation. It comes from recognizing that our worth is not defined by others' opinions, but by the love and respect we have for ourselves. When we stop seeking approval, we stop being emotionally controlled by the opinions and judgments of others. We begin to live life on our own terms, free from the emotional chains that once bound us. Now let's explore how we are never truly free in terms of time. Time is one of the most precious commodities we have, and yet it is often the most constrained. We are constantly running out of time, whether it's for work, for family, or for our personal interests. We are told that in order to achieve freedom, we need more time to relax, more time to pursue our passions, more time to spend with loved ones. But in reality, the more we seek to control our time, the more it slips away. The clock ticks relentlessly, and no matter how hard we try, we can never seem to catch up. The idea of being truly free with time is an illusion because we are always bound by the ticking clock. Our entire lives are structured around time. From the moment we wake up to the moment we fall asleep, our lives are divided into hours, minutes, and seconds. We schedule our days, plan our tasks, and prioritize our commitments, but in doing so, we become slaves to time. We live with the constant pressure to use our time efficiently, to get more done, and to achieve more. The truth is, no matter how much we plan, no matter how much we optimize our schedules, time will always remain out of our control. We cannot pause it, rewind it, or slow it down. And despite all our best efforts, we are often left feeling that time is slipping away from us, that we are wasting it, or that we are not using it to its fullest potential. But here's the thing, this obsession with time and productivity can actually make us feel less free. We become so focused on what we should be doing that we forget to enjoy the present moment. We rush through our days, constantly looking ahead to the next task, the next goal, or the next opportunity. This creates a cycle of stress and anxiety, as we feel like we never have enough time to do everything we want. The reality is that the more we try to control time, the more it controls us. We become prisoners of the clock, always racing against it, always afraid of running out of it. True freedom with time comes when we learn to live in the present moment, to savor the experiences and relationships that matter most. It means letting go of the pressure to be constantly productive and learning to relax, to enjoy life without the constant burden of time hanging over our heads. We must stop measuring our worth by how much we accomplish or how efficiently we use our time. Instead, we should focus on the quality of our time, the moments spent in connection, in joy, in peace. True freedom is not about having more time, it's about learning to use the time we have in a way that aligns with our values and our desires. Another aspect of our lack of freedom is the way we are bound by our past. Our past shapes who we are and how we see the world, but it also limits our ability to move forward. Many people live in the shadow of their past experiences, haunted by regrets, mistakes, and unresolved emotional wounds. These past experiences shape our beliefs, our behaviors, and our expectations for the future. We may struggle with feelings of guilt, shame, or anger over things that happened long ago, and these emotions hold us back from living freely. The truth is, no matter how much we try to run from our past, it is always with us. The memories, the emotional scars, and the lessons learned shape our present reality, and while it is important to acknowledge and learn from our past, it's equally important not to let it define us. Many people feel trapped by their past experiences, unable to move forward because they are constantly looking back. They carry the weight of their regrets, the wounds of their mistakes, and the fear that their past will dictate their future. Breaking free from the past requires forgiveness, both for ourselves and for others. It means letting go of the emotional baggage that we carry and understanding that our past does not define who we are today. We are not our mistakes, our regrets, or our failures. We are constantly evolving, learning, and growing. True freedom comes when we stop letting our past control us. We must learn to embrace the present moment and trust that we have the power to create the future we desire. Our past is a part of us, but it is not the entirety of who we are. As we move forward in our exploration of freedom, it's important to realize that the pursuit of happiness and fulfillment often holds us back from true freedom. We are constantly told that in order to be happy, we need to achieve more, acquire more, and be more. Happiness has become a goal, a destination that we must reach. But in this pursuit, we often forget that happiness is not a place we arrive at, but a way of living. The truth is that the more we chase after happiness, the more elusive it becomes. We become so focused on achieving the perfect life that we forget to enjoy the journey, We think that if we only get the job, the house, the partner, or the financial security, we will finally be happy. But even when we achieve these things, we are often left feeling unfulfilled, as if something is still missing. Happiness is not something we can control or chase. It comes when we learn to accept the present moment, to appreciate what we already have, and to live in alignment with our values. True freedom comes when we stop striving for happiness and start embracing the richness of life as it is. It means letting go of the pressure to fix ourselves or our circumstances, and instead focusing on the things that bring us peace, joy, and contentment in the present moment.